Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll start this evening out with our roll call. Jason, you want to start?
Jason Schillerwert, District 1.
John Londorf, District 4.
Brendan Freitas, District 6.
Jeff Finley, District 9.
Kari Hoffman, District 5.
Richard Soley, District 7.
Jim Marquez, District 8.
Patty Egan, District 3.
Linnell Lua, District 2.
Thank you. So I'd like to just remind the audience that we are conducting a meeting here, so there is no asking questions. Your time to speak is at the call to the audience. So if you have not signed up for owner input, you need to do so so that we can call on you to speak during your 3-minute time period. All right. Like item number 3, approval of the agenda for May 17th.
I have a correction for that agenda. As far as the review of the budget, that we won't be reviewing any budget at this time.
All right. So your finance committee report will just be a committee report.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so do I have a second to John's motion?
I'll second the motion. Jeff Finley.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda with the removal of review of the 23-24 budget. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Next is approval of the April 19th, 2023 minutes.
Madam President, I have a correction for the minutes, please.
Yes, I have a couple too. They're
On
probably the same ones.
page 8 of 19, it shows Richard on the vote.
Yes.
It shows Richard Soleil as being a abstained person, the person who abstained, when in actuality was me, John Londorf, District 4.
Yes, that was one of my corrections as well.
And then also a correction would be needed on page 13 of 19 on the motion log to reflect the same.
Okay. I also found a correction on page 2, second to last paragraph, where the discussion of the capital improvement plan. The second line, the budget for the 2 miles of paving was actually $757,000, not $575,000. You just transposed the numbers. It's $757,000 is the budget, and you put $575,000. You just transposed. The only other thing, Majida, I saw on page 7 of 19, the very last line, it says the following resolution was duly moved, seconded, and unanimously passed. The unanimously needs to be removed. So it just says and passed. And those were the only corrections I found. Did anyone else have any corrections?
No, but I had a question about the one that John was referring to.
Yes.
It passed too quickly for me to catch up.
On the vote of the 421J resolution,
Oh,
it showed Richard as the abstaining, and it was actually John.
okay.
John and Jason.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, so can I get a motion to accept the minutes with the amendments?
I'd like to make a motion we accept the minutes for the Wednesday, April 19th, 2023 meeting with the changes that have been submitted.
I will second that, and that is Patty D3.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to accept the April 19th, 2023 minutes with the amendments mentioned. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have a special presentation from Brittany Zimmerman. So I had the privilege of meeting Brittany at a leadership conference up at Volcano National Park in February. And after hearing her speak and what she's doing, I felt that what she has to offer could be something that HPP OA could potentially utilize. So, Brittany, I'm going to let you take it away. And yes, that does come off.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you hear me? No. How about now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. I got the opportunity to meet Carrie, and that's been a blessing. I did live in HPP for a short stint of time over on 13th, so while I'm not super familiar with the area, I'm not new to the area either, so somewhere in between. But I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a background about the journey in Hawaii and what we're working on currently. So my background is originally as a mechanical and aerospace engineer. Designed aircraft for a long time, and eventually NASA stole me out of the aerospace industry and moved me into the outer space sector, which is where I spent the majority of my career. I originally got brought on to design greenhouse modules for inflatable or lunar Martian habitat. I hate having my back to anybody. How do I stand so that I don't have
Just
to
don't
do
worry
that?
about it.
Okay. All right, I'll give this a shot. So yeah, it was kind of a dream thing for me. I got to come on to really learn, everything that I needed to know about how to keep people alive effectively in space conditions. So that is water reclamation technologies, because we need water to survive, right? It's nutrient cycles, because we need nutrients to survive. It's air revitalization, because we need clean breathing air to survive. It's thermal and pressure concerns, because we're very sensitive to those sorts of things. It's waste management, because if contaminants build up, we die. There's so many things that are really built around how to keep the human explorer alive in space. So that's what I specialize in, is bioregenerative physiochemical hybrid life support systems for long-duration space flight. So I really bridge the gap at NASA between how to take nature-based solutions to keeping us alive and more traditional NASA engineering approaches like rotating machinery and chemical reactions and filtration systems. So I had the good fortune of doing that for a very long period of time, and it was very fruitful for me. I got to develop solutions that are currently on the International Space Station. I got to develop patents and technologies that are about to land us back on the moon with the Artemis program, if you guys are familiar with Artemis. I got to develop habitats that are slated for some of our first visits to the lunar and Martian surfaces, and a whole slew of stuff for the Department of Defense and the private space industry. I got selected very early in my career as the youngest ever NASA principal investigator, and that was very fortunate for me, and really it was like pouring rocket fuel, I like puns, onto the career trajectory, and that's been very exciting. In 2019, though, I had a pretty big existential shift that had me start rethinking about where I was providing my efforts. I lost a very good friend of mine to a waterborne illness in Panama. And for me, it changed the way that I viewed life and everything that I was working on. For me, the hardest part, besides losing her, was that I was in her home a few months before she passed away with a laptop that was providing clean drinking water to people on the International Space Station. And so it just felt wrong, in so many different ways. And so I started looking at how could we take the technologies that we're developing for outer space and make sure they're actually being applied in the places where humans can actually utilize those technologies, right? Instead of 50 or 100 people who ever get to utilize some of the technologies that I've invented, right? How do I apply them somewhere where human betterment can actually be achieved? And so I started running down that path. And I was really fortunate. I had invented nobody's eating, okay. I had invented a technology that takes astronauts' feces and extracts the water from the feces and makes it fully potable again. So you can reconsume the water that you traditionally lose in space from your digestive systems. But more than that, to be truly circular, we take the dried biomass that's left over and we utilize it as a filler in additive manufacturing, which means we can now 3D print all of the replaceable components that we need for our mechanical systems, utilizing something that was previously a waste system that we would jettison off the side of the spacecraft or out of the habitat. So it's really this idea of full circularity, right? In space, every single molecule is so precious. And when I started looking at how do we take those sorts of methodologies and technologies and apply them to what we do on our own planet, we really need to make sure that we're adopting, right, that same sort of philosophy, because here we act like there's these massive sinks and that the environment can take up all of these contaminations and these pollutants for us. And this is really about adopting that methodology and those technologies to showcase that that's not a never-ending, infinite, abundant sink and source for us. So I developed a team, and at the time I was looking at building up a division within the organization that I was being groomed as the CEO of. And eventually me and some of my board sat down and we decided that they were really branded as a space-only organization. So I started a new organization that really focused on that terrestrial part of this. And eventually that got enough legs, and I decided to make the depart and really focus on that as my life passion. And so when I decided to leave, I was managing a group over at NASA Johnson Space Center, a group over internal to Boeing. I was working with a group at NASA Glenn. I was leading 2 different university departments through the development of space hardware that I had designed, and I was managing 3 public-private partnerships. So I had this massive network of individuals, and a bunch of them came forward when they heard that I was leaving and said they wanted to come with. And that's really the formation and organization that we are now here and I am captaining. We're called UME, and we're over 330 graduate level experts from more than 50 different countries. And we've come together and said, okay, how can we bridge the gap? How can we take these technologies that have been proven in different environments and make sure they get to the places where they need to be? And so we developed a bunch of system-level solutions. We down-selected, we piloted in continental United States, and we got to the point where we were ready to build at full commercial scale, and everybody on the team wanted to build in their countries. They said, this has to be done in my country because. And so I didn't want to sever the team in any way whatsoever, and so I said, okay, what can we do to make it a data-driven decision, right? Yeah, there's the scientist in me. And so we ended up down-selecting using a bunch of metrics on Hawaii. So that's why we're here. What we do is we extract greenhouse gases directly from the environment. So we pull out CO2, CH4, NOx, SOx, and solid particulates, and the largest amount of feedstock we bring in is in terms of waste. Whatever the community waste being developed are. So we can bring in things like municipal solid waste, which is a big problem here on this particular island. Literally anything you would see at the landfill or at the dump. Waste, metals, plastics, glasses, sludges from wastewater treatment facility centers, industrial wastes, abandoned vehicles, tires, things along those lines, agricultural wastes, you name it. It's really dependent on what a community is producing a lot of. And we build those solutions to copy Mother Nature. So we look at Mother Nature and we say, what does Mother Nature do with waste? Over geological times, Mother Nature takes waste and breaks it down and turns it into 4 things: minerals, soils, atmosphere, and water. So there's got to be a way that we can take those waste products and do exactly the same thing, right? That was really our original inspiration. And so you'll see in our facilities we bring waste in and we produce 4 major commodities. We make a mineral, but our mineral we commercialize as a net negative alternative to concrete and cements. So this is really big because for us we're all about rebalancing the carbons globally, right? So when we talk about that we say, okay, for every 1 ton of concrete or cement that we produce, we remove more than a ton of greenhouse gases from the environment, which is huge considering what's currently being done, right, with the extraction of limestone and the massive emissions in terms of carbon dioxide. So it's a game changer. But it's not only that, there's no mining, there's no import of anything else that's needed. It's literally entirely made from waste. So that's the really exciting part. The other part is some people don't care about sustainability, right? I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. I care about sustainability, but that's not everybody's driven goal. So we needed to make sure that this also was the best performing, right, in terms of products. So we actually now have the strongest and most net negative concrete ever tested through the Minnesota Department of Transport's trial batching programs. So we're super excited about that. And so what that means is, let's see, if you're going to utilize it as pavement, which we do a lot, what normally is done is you take this super emissive material and you lay the road, and then you wait for, the industry standard is 28 days, right? You wait for it to cure, you're waiting for it to set, but most importantly, you're waiting for it to hit about 4,000 PSI. Because at 4,000 PSI in terms of, oh, this is the stuff that's made out of waste, so yeah, go ahead, pass that away. And so at 4,000 PSI approximately, we're now at our compressive strengths where you can open up to traffic, or you can open it up to the roads. And so what's really exciting about this material also, besides how carbon negative it is its performance. At day 1, we're over 5,000 PSI, which means you can lay the road and open it up to traffic the next day. Also, at the 1 week mark, we're over 12,000 PSI. So it is actually an ultra high performance or a high strength concrete, but produced effectively and through waste that's being generated in different communities. We make permeable versions and non-permeable versions, so that means in places where you want water to move through geology, we can actually make it so that the water can make its way through the concrete, which is really important for environmental efforts in many places, and a whole bunch of really cool stuff. Like, it doesn't degrade in saline applications, it doesn't do the traditional leaching that it does, so the reef restoration groups have been really excited about it because it helps in that, and a whole bunch of other really nerdy stuff that we can get into sometime if you guys are interested in on that side of things. And that is really our mineral that we produce. We also produce what we consider, it's not technically a soil, but is in our soil category. It's a biochar, if you're familiar with biochar. I won't dwell on it too long, but it's super cool. It's a sustainable alternative to fertilizers. It's been utilized by indigenous groups for thousands of years, but it increases crop yield, it decreases the amount of water that's needed on cropland, and most importantly, it protects the reefs and the groundwaters from contaminants. It has these micropores that makes toxins immobile. So it kind of immobilizes them in these micropores, and then it doesn't make its way out into runoff, right, hurting our reefs or making it into the groundwater, which can poison our groundwaters. And then additionally, we make a whole bunch of potable water as an output. So in some places, maybe in Hilo and down in HPP, that's less of an issue than in some places maybe on the other side of the island, but potable water is an output of the system additionally. And then the one thing that's left over after all of this process is hydrogen. So green hydrogen is actually a byproduct of this whole process occurring. So that's really what we're working on right now. So those are the 4 different commodities. We are also working now with the mayor, Mitch Roth. So we had the good fortune of meeting him when we first got onto the island, and he really took a liking to what we're doing. So we are working right now on building a facility out in Hilo. So we have down selected to that. We're doing that particularly because there's a wastewater issue going on in Hilo, where a lot of the effluent and waste is being ejected out into Puhi Bay. So we're looking at taking that waste and that sludge from that facility as an input as a request of the Keaukaha and Pane'ewa communities. So those are the big things now. And I got the good fortune of meeting Carrie, and she told me that there's a lot going on in terms of development here, some roads that need to be paved potentially and things along those lines. So we were having some conversations about whether or not this could be a good potential fit for this particular material. And so she invited me here to have a conversation about that. And yeah, I'll put my cards out. I think I brought some cards too for communications additionally. And that's been the major part of the story. I got to live in a lot of different communities. HPP has been one of them, and it's been one of my favorites. So super excited to see how I could help in any ways whatsoever. So the concrete should be passed around. Take a look. That is the material we make directly out of garbage. We work currently with the Minnesota Department of Transport on that. We lay material and freeway that is inlaid with all the coolest sensors and high-tech gadgets and stuff when you're developing new technologies. That just happens to be where the creme de la creme testing facilities are. So we were building our pilot facility out there. Now we're looking at building it at full scale here. So I'm completely open to collaborations, conversations, questions, and any way we can be of service to you guys in any way whatsoever. So thank you so much. I will be here for the rest of the evening, so feel free to hunt me down and ask any questions.
Thank you so much, Brittany. So a couple things that she didn't mention is her concrete does not need rebar support. Most concrete that's laid down requires rebar, which is very expensive. So because her concrete is so strong, it does not need rebar. It also, you don't need the full amount. So you only need half of what the normal concrete width would be. So if normally a road would be 8 inches, you'd only need 4, or 4 inches, you'd only need 2. So from a cost standpoint, it actually is more economical than asphalt could be. So my thought was, if she needed some roads to test her product on, maybe HPP would be a good testing site for her here on the island, and certainly we have a lot of gravel roads that could be utilized. So anyway, I really appreciate Brittany coming out and kind of just starting the conversation with us and being able to introduce her product to us. And I'm all about sustainability, and so if we can do something that will help HPP and help our environment at the same time, I'm all for it. So thank you so much.
I'd like to say something, Madam President. Yesterday at the council meeting at 1 o'clock, I heard the lady speak to the mayor and the council, and she was well received. And I'm overjoyed to hear the detail today about her interest in working and helping the island, really. Yes, I'd like us to exercise the most important part of our highways, and that is our major drives. They have the greatest amount of traffic. They have the greatest heavy traffic flow and weight. And if we can use this type of product on those major drives, we'd be ahead, because concrete never has to be replaced. It's lifelong, whereas asphalt has just a few years of life. I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Item number 6, the President's Report. So this month has been a time of training for John and I as we help transition Larry into his new role as GM and hired an administrative assistant. We welcome Shelley. Shelley, you want to stand up? We welcome Shelley to the HPP team as our administrative assistant, and she will be handling the front counter, phones, all administrative paperwork in the office, and then assisting at busy times with payment processing, etc. We also hired a part-time bookkeeper, John, to handle the monthly financials and the reconciliations of our balance sheet. We offer much thanks to John Lohendorf for his time working as interim GM for the past 5 months. No one, including me, expected that we would have to work 9 hours a day, 5 days a week for 5 months when we were appointed or elected to this board. This board before you has stepped up when needed to keep the association running, made sure we completed required tasks timely, and kept the doors open and the lights on. I truly want to thank everyone for stepping up when needed, especially John. We continue to work on the mailbox project. We finished paving 4th Street from Kaloli all the way to Maku'u. We got the ballots out by the May 1st deadline. The ballots by far have given us the biggest challenge yet, as there was no easy way to get the information from our database and merge it into the ballot template. But John kept trying, and eventually he did figure it out. We apologize to anyone who might have found errors on the ballot. It was a very manual process, which of course leads to flaws. Please continue to report issues that you see to the office so that they can be addressed quickly, and call the police for noise complaints, fireworks, and speeding. This is a big place, and it takes many eyes to keep it running safe and smoothly. Thanks for making our community a place we can all be proud to call home. That is my report. Moving on, item number 7, the Vice President's report.
Well, I've continued to seek mail solutions for our mass mailings that we are doing 3 times a year, plus. I found another lead. I'm working on it. I've also carried out tasks requested by the President, which the Vice President is supposed to do, in terms of obtaining 2 bids on projects we're working on, and a couple of quotes. I sort of have my fingers in the committee process as VP, and I would request that you send your committee minutes and any reports that you might have. And by the way, our committees are flourishing. It's really nice. But to send those minutes and reports to Jim, our Secretary, Jim Marquez, at District 8 hppoa.net. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, item number 8, the Treasurer's report. John?
Okay. This is as the bank balances as of the end of April 2013. Total in checking, savings, investments, and bond reserve, $8,167,195.20. Total accounts receivables, $3,515,170.17. This account balance represents unpaid road maintenance fees, lien fees, finance charges, legal fees, collection expenses, and bounced check charges, as well as a few transfer fees that have been billed but not paid. The accounts receivable balance at April of 2022 was $3,137,763.95. The annual billing for this year was $3,447,576. As of May 16th, we had a total of 6,321 owners paid in full, or 71.5% of the total ownership in HPP. We took in $1.1 million in dues in February, $1,342,000 in March, and $633,818 in April. Now, allowance for doubtful accounts balance is $593,119.12. This is a contra asset account required by generally accepted accounting principles that records the estimated dollar amount of receivables which may not be collectible. There were approximately 41 property transfers during the month of April. Board have any questions?
Did anyone have any questions on any of the financials that you were provided? No one?
No,
when you say the finan, are you including the check register?
Yes.
Well, because I did have, that check register is actually not a register, as
Yeah.
it doesn't have
It doesn't
the
have the name
names
of,
of
yeah.
who they're written to.
I noticed that too. We need to find the right report.
I think there is actually a check register report. 'Cause yeah, in QuickBooks. Yeah, I mean, this one, you don't know who the check is to. And there was one check that I really, $117,747, is that to civil?
Civil, yep, for the final payment on the paving.
Okay. That was it. I think we should get a different format for that
Yeah.
report. Thanks.
We will figure that one out, right, Bonnie? Yep. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? If you do come up with questions later, just let us know.
Oh, one other thing, just for future consideration. I see a payment for the credit card of $14,000, but we don't really know what that is, what that represents, without seeing the credit card report itself. You know,
Okay. 11,000 of that was the new garage door
Oh,
for the maintenance facility. So,
So normally it'd be a pretty minor.
yeah, usually it's maybe a couple thousand.
Okay.
But we had the garage door that we had to pay up front
Right.
for them to order it. So,
Okay, thank you.
all right. Moving on, the GM report. Larry.
Good evening, everyone. So for the GM report for May 17th.
Right into the
2023.
mic, please.
All right. Everybody can hear me? All right. Roads, trash costs, 1.44 tons of rubbish hauled and 1.72 tons of scrap metal and tires disposed of at a cost of $789.13. Animals, 1 dead pig has been disposed of. Signs, 1 stop sign, 5 25-mile-per-hour signs at 4th between Paradise and Kololi due to it now being paved and the speed limit going up. At 1st, Kololi and Paradise, and 6th at the Makuu dead end for the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit signs. Roads graded, 11 miles, 15th Makuu dead end all the way to Kololi dead end, 16th and 20th Kololi dead ends, 1st Makuu dead end, Beach Road, Alaheao, Lemivai, roads A, B, C, and D. Total roads rocked, 396.36 tons. 92.74 tons went to Vahiheo, 136.57 tons went to Beach Road, 167.05 tons went to the Makuu dead end. Rolled, 12 total miles. 15th Makuu dead end all the way to the Kololi dead end. 16th and 20th Kololi dead end. 1st Makuu dead end, Vahiheo, Alaheo, Beach Road, Lemivai, roads A, B, C, and D. Asphalt patch, 4.02 tons. Kololi Main Drive, 7th Makuu to Paradise, 26th Kololi to Makuu, 22nd Makuu to Paradise, and 25th Makuu to Paradise. The side arm mower is working its way back up the subdivision. It's currently at 16th and it's making its way up. Roads watered, 44 miles of roads have been watered. Paving. Civil construction has completed paving of 4th Avenue, Paradise to Kololi. Civil construction has finished 4th Avenue between Paradise and Makuu. Civil construction has started on Pohaku and is in progress now. If you guys have driven by, you'll see what I'm talking about. Personnel items. We have hired the part-time bookkeeper and office admin clerk, which you guys met tonight, and 1 person on the road maintenance crew. The equipment. The old backhoe is still limping along. This will be repaired once the parts are in. The water truck steering arm has been fixed. The blue F-250 truck is now back from maintenance and is in service. The Skag mower was down for a short time due to it needing a repair on the spindle failure, but it is back up and running and it was up and down Makuu today. We are still waiting for delivery and installation for the shop door replacement, and all new signs have arrived and they are now in the process of being replaced or installing the new ones in Hawaiian Paradise Park. Any questions for myself?
Did anyone have any questions on the GM report? Thank you so much, Larry.
Thank you.
Great job. All right, item number 10, committee reports. We're going to start with the Finance Committee. John?
Okay, the Finance Committee has been meeting fairly regularly to work on the 23-24 budget. We have already completed the first pass-through. We have also completed the capital improvement plan budgeting. Next week, we will be hopefully finishing up the final budget and then putting it all together to bring forward to the board.
Great, thank you. Next, do we have anyone here from the Bylaws Committee? Melissa, thank you. Oh, it's not on.
Good evening, everybody. I think you all know at this point my name is Alyssa Hanchu, and I'm going to read my report from my phone. At our last scheduled meeting, we started working on Article 10, which covers committees. This article has not been worked on since the committee was convened in 2015, so I expect it will take us a few months to work our way through all the subsections. We've also been actively discussing 421J, the Hawaii statute that covers planned communities. Our committee has not yet reached consensus about whether this statute applies to HPPOA, and I'd like to reiterate my request here in a board meeting to see the legal opinions that have been provided to this in a previous board. If 421J applies to HPPOA, that has implications for changes to the bylaws, work that our committee is charged with doing as a committee of the membership. While I have professional experience reading, interpreting, and applying regulations, I am not a real estate attorney. The Bylaws Committee would like to have greater understanding of how or if the two tests that define a planned community apply to HPPOA. Our next meeting is Wednesday, May 31st, so not next week, the week after, at 4 p.m. here in the library. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Did you have a meeting with our council?
Yes, we did, and we still have a lot of questions.
And when was that meeting? Is that your last meeting?
May 1st.
Yeah.
May 1st? You were able to ask questions and discuss freely with the attorney?
It's a little hard to ask questions on material you're not allowed to see. So it hinged on us having an understanding of how 421J applies without having the materials to see how 421J applies. So we did have some questions for her, but we couldn't really get to the meat of what needed to be discussed without that information.
Was the comparison chart distributed to you?
No. We did receive the document that has all the comments in it about suggestions of what we need to look at in general for bylaws, but not the comparison document.
Okay. We'll get that to you.
Great. Thank you. So the document that we received right before that meeting happened. So it's also a little challenging to, how many ever pages our bylaws are, to skim that in 5 minutes before a meeting. It would have been helpful to have had that much sooner than the time we received it.
So would it be helpful to try to set up another meeting now that you've had time to go over that document, and we'll get you the other comparison docs?
I'd like to see the information about how or if 421J applies to us before I try to make sure we can all find a convenient time.
Okay.
But after that, yes, I do think that would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next is the nominating committee. Jeanette?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. I know how you love to talk in public.
Can you? Was it on?
Yeah.
There's no report for the nominating committee.
Now, wait a minute. I believe the nominating committee came in and stuffed all the ballots into the envelopes. So I believe that that should be reported, that they volunteered to come in and stuff all the envelopes. They took all the ballots to the post office.
We called it a party, but it wasn't that kind of party.
I've been to better parties, let me tell you.
Yes, thank you. I would agree with that. I want to thank everybody that helped out to do that stuffing job and stamping envelopes and applying labels and ordering different colored papers that couldn't be duplicated and all of that. So thank you for all of that. The ballots were mailed the Friday before, I want to say April 26th or 28th, maybe one.
I think it was the 27th or 28th.
It was that Friday before June 1st, which was a Monday. So they were mailed out on time. And so now we're sort of just in limbo because we're now waiting to have the League of Women Voters receive all the ballots and then continue to counting them. But the nominating committee, as a committee, I think is POW.
You guys aren't going to witness the counting?
The board is supposed to ask for volunteers. So, in this meeting?
It would be this meeting. It would be this meeting.
For observers.
Yeah. So the counting is being done on June 3rd. Larry, what time?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be June 3rd, 10 o'clock at this library. And I am one observer as I am not a political party.
Okay, so do we have two or three other volunteers that would like to be observers for the election?
They can't say anything. All they can do is watch.
Okay, so Leslie Blythe? Mylin, are you volunteering? Okay, so Mylin's Stillwell. June 3rd.
At 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. in the library.
That's a Saturday.
And if you haven't mailed your ballot in, you need to do so because they have to be received by the League of Women Voters by June 1st. So, you know, with our mail system, you don't want to take any chances. So if it's received on June 2nd, it will not be counted.
So the League of Women Voters will be counting them in our library?
Yes. They will bring all of the ballots here and count. Yes.
Now, this year, are we going to request of the league to have on their letterhead the numerical count of the ballots? Like we didn't have that last year, so. And it caused a lot of angst.
Was that on the contract?
I believe it was, yes.
Is that in the contract?
I believe it was.
Good.
Don't you remember that, John?
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe it is.
So they provide a written report?
Yes. Yep. They will be providing that to us.
Okay.
So,
we do have one more meeting to hold as a debrief meeting for the committee so that we would hopefully be able to come up with a more productive method and process for this committee.
Okay. Jeanette, do you have two people that will be going to the League of Women Voters on the 1st of June to initial the envelopes received?
I don't know that.
Yeah, the League of Women Voters, per the contract, we're not allowed to touch
Okay.
at all.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate all your efforts this election season. All right, item D, the Land Use Committee.
Yes, We had a land use committee meeting this week, the second Tuesday of the month, and, excuse me, just my chair. The meeting was not, it did not end in a very good way. We ended up being in conflict with each other. The land use committee has a responsibility
Closer.
the land use committee's main responsibility is to decipher the opportunities that exist with the real estate that is owned by the association. And the authority, as we were discussing earlier, how do we understand ourselves as an association and as a corporation? And it's dignified to understand that the corporation was established by the state to give us the power to own the land that is supposed to be developed into schools and parks and community shopping areas that was given to us by the subdivider. But being an association, we don't know how, we as members think that there's some sort of connection with us and that, and there really isn't. And that is one of the most important considerations we're trying to decipher as a business and as a legal understanding of what our true authority is. The reason we want to do this is because we have 40 acres of land right here that one could be a community shopping area with some medical offices and other conveniences that we have to drive quite a distance in traffic to. And we really don't always want to, or we can't. Someone at home is sick. I'm sorry. And they're illustrations of what our opportunities are, including the most important part. As the lady was talking about earlier about sustainability, we can't do anything in a sustainable fashion unless we know what the true chronology of the process is. What kind of steps do we take forward to give our community positive development, and what careful considerations we have to make so that those uses do not come with a hammer and impact. So we have to design our new uses on land that has never been touched in kind of a remarkable way. We can do it with the knowledge that what we're going to do will be sustainable and will be correct and safe for the INA. That's the bulk of work that our land use committee is starting to work on, and it's very complicated. Our next meeting is the second meeting of June, and I welcome you all to come. It's at noon here in this building.
Is it June 2nd or
The ninth.
second?
The second Tuesday. I believe that's the 9th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is the Human Resource Committee. Patty.
Yes, the Human Resource Committee, because of a variety of different reasons, have been meeting via Zoom most recently, and it works out good. This last time, all we were really concerned with was making sure that we had the proper human resource forms that the GM would need to do his job dealing with personnel issues, from the hiring to supervisory duties to discipline, et cetera, et cetera. So we went over all the forms we had. We discussed any changes we wanted. We presented them to Larry and told him that if he needed any others, we would be happy to work on them, but that's where we're at right now. I am not going to be available for the meeting that we have scheduled this Monday. I don't know whether the other two people will be available. In fact, I think one of them is going to be off island as well. So we will, and I do want to apologize. I have been really bad about getting the minutes and the agenda to the secretary. My bad. I've covered it in our meetings here, but I know that doesn't help. And I know Catherine has been asking for me to get this together for the website, so I apologize for not having gotten this together yet. So,
Duly noted. So you're just going to cancel this next month,
yes,
month's meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we hope to continue then the next meetings. In fact, we are going to be looking for another Human Resource Committee member. So if anybody is interested in joining this committee, it's just a blast. We have so much fun.
Good selling. Okay. Thank you.
I will. Okay.
All right.
And please don't hesitate to contact the board and just give us your name. We won't hold you to it. We'll just talk about it, and if we can lure you into a meeting. It's generally the fourth Monday of the month in the library. There's air conditioning from 1 o'clock until we're done, which is usually an hour and a half, something like that. Thank you.
All right. Next is the members meeting committee, which I don't believe that there is a report for. If anyone has any items that they would like to see on the agenda for the next general membership meeting, please reach out to Catherine Patton. She is going to be helping to put the agenda together for that meeting. Next is the Cultural Preservation Committee. Linnell?
We had our meeting this past Saturday. It was an incredible turnout of people. We had over 20 people that attended the meeting. We pretty much started from the ground up. You know, we talked about, you know, where we lived in HPP, and we talked about the 31 acres that we are trying to get preserved. So I'll be doing a little presentation later on the agenda, but there's a lot of support. There's a lot of hands going into this now, and a lot more knowledge. You know, we're getting knowledge from the young people, from the kupunas, from the people that have lived here for 30 years. You know, it's knowledge coming from everywhere. So it's going to be a beautiful place once we're done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have the Road Safety and Pathways Committee. Is there anyone here to present? No? Okay. Then we will move on. Item number 11, Community Resource Report with Judy.
Aloha. It's good to see you again. We've had a very busy month. I'm here to let our board and our residents know what we do for free as volunteers in our community. Let you know that we do have a neighborhood watch that meets the first Saturday of every month. We have our residents and our community police officer there to talk with us about the crimes that have occurred in the park, reports from our neighbors, and ways to help solve the problems and improve the safety and security of our community. Crimes did go up last month, so we are asking if you could please be extra careful. 50% of the crimes that involve cars are committed when the cars are unlocked and the windows are down, the keys are in. So these are things that you can be definitely aware of and prevent this from happening to you. And a lot of the crimes also that were committed were acquaintances or people that they knew. So be careful who your friends are. Be careful who you invite onto your property and into your homes. The world is changing, I'm sorry to say. And report suspicious activity to our police and to your neighbors. Be on the lookout. The swap meet is the second Saturday of every month from 7 to 11 a.m. This past month we were very, very busy, and we expect to be even busier in the summer months when kids are out of school. We have an information and greeting booth that I sit at every month, and I'm there to answer questions and invite residents to our events, our meetings, and encourage volunteering. The third Saturday of every month, we have a free class at 9 o'clock this next Saturday, 9 to 11 typically. It lasts a couple hours. I'll be putting up signs for that. It's on our website. I've asked to include native plants, plant identification, and invasive pests. So I've invited the Cultural Preservation Committee to attend. We'd like to do what we can to help protect the native species in that 31 acres. And I've also invited an intern from the university to come help us. So that will be this summer. I'll have her introduced to Cultural Preservation Committee and to the board. If you have any mysterious plants or bugs you'd like to bring to the class, please do. We'll have our experts there, and they'll help you to identify them and tell you what to do with them. The fourth Tuesday, we have our food pantry. This is where we give away free food, clothes, produce to the needy. These are for people that qualify by their income. We expect these numbers to also go up over the summer because a lot of the kids will be out of school. So we'll do what we can to provide extra amounts to our families. The last subject would be we're getting into our hurricane season. So we want people to prepare. We'll be going into the El Nino by the end of the summer. So think ahead before something happens and prepare a go kit. Consider possibly 2 weeks of losing power. And we know what that's like for those of you old timers that have been around since Zell. It did happen, 2 to 3 weeks and even longer for some people along the ocean front. So please be prepared for that. And we did put together an emergency response plan. It's on your website. So I hope that some of you will take the time to read it. We have an emergency response, community emergency response team, and we also have an emergency response radio team. So these are well-trained volunteers that will be here at this facility to help monitor and patrol the roads, call in the situations if something were to happen during a natural disaster. So I encourage you to volunteer and to join us, and thank you.
Thank you, Judy. I don't think so. We do have all the activities that Judy puts on the calendar on our website. So if you didn't get a chance to jot things down or don't remember when you get home, just go on the HPPOA website and click on calendar, and it's all there. All right, next we have item number 12, owner input. Please be mindful. I'll set the timer for 3 minutes, and when you hear it go off, you need to stop. So our first speaker will be Jennifer Myers. And please speak right into the mic, up close. Yeah, up close.
Hi there. I didn't want the microphone to anybody's back either. Aloha. My name is Jennifer Myers. I have been working to reach out to our Hawaiian Paradise.
Right to the mic.
Pardon me?
Right to the mic, yeah.
Right to the mic. I've been working to reach out to our Hawaiian Paradise Park community to bring everyone together for a common good. I want everyone in HPP to have the same USPS mail service that I have. I would like to express heartfelt appreciation to the overwhelming numbers of residents that have come forward to express so much support. All of the persons that have contacted their district representatives, and to everyone that has come tonight. I understand that if we don't act fast, we could lose the USPS cluster mailboxes that we've been provided with. This is very likely our only chance. We can't afford to lose our momentum. Nobody, including myself, will be 100% happy with the changes to our new USPS mail service. But we will do as everyone does that lives on our island, and we will adapt to the changes. I am confident that our new HPP board members are wanting what is best for our community. And we really do have a new board. I am excited watching the support from our HPP community as it is really taking shape. We have residents that are willing to step up and to work together as a community and with our board to get the USPS mailbox project underway and completed. Mahalo and thank you. And thank you to everyone for your support. Aloha.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next, we have Bonnie McCoy.
Aloha.
Yeah,
I could probably talk
just
just
take
as
it
loud. Mine is more community first. I'd like to start thinking about things to bridge things that will help the people in our subdivision. I'd like to see food donations, clothing donations be able to come through our office. Okay, great. I'm glad you're nodding because I didn't clear that with you.
A little closer, Bonnie. to your
Sorry.
mouth.
And another thing would be community garden. I believe we have space for something like that, but again, it's a resource that we could use to help people in need in our own subdivision. So I'd also like to propose some kind of welcome wagon. Someone, when all these new homeowners come in, that we greet them friendly, warmly, and feel like they have a resource to call about anything, catchment, anything, fire ants, anything, and of course we'll redirect them to Judy. And thank you, Judy, because you're everything positive that I love about this place, but I'd like to see that kind of blend a little bit more with the office. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Bonnie. Kepa, is that Haley? I can't read your writing. Okay. At least you knew who you were.
Aloha. Aloha o ko apau. My name is Kepa Malley. My wife, Onaona, and I.
Right into the mic, please.
Right into the mic. Okay.
Right into the mic. Hug it.
My wife and I are historic ethnographers, have worked in Hawaii. We're from Hawaii. I'm from Lanai. Her kupuna are from Visaina within Waikaika and Tukoa Eapuna. I really just want to say that there's a really important land asset resource here that was purposefully set aside because it includes a part of the legacy landscape of Puna that is rapidly disappearing. So the CPC, or Cultural Preservation Committee, Linnell's going to cover much more information, but and I forgot to I didn't write anything up, but Onaona and I volunteered a couple of 100 hours and created an ethnographic study that is available for free on our website, and we can get it to you. People who want to understand that we are part of a history. We're not the history. We are a part of the history of this landscape. But there is, and I do not use this word very often, there is a host culture, and that's a little bit colonial talk. But there is a native culture. We know that the village site here, based on the historical records, if you go to the ethnographic study that we prepared, all the sources are cited. I was brought up in a home where Hawaiian was still spoken by kupuna who were born in 1890 and 1892. So we translate records. We know that this preservation area is a part of a village that spanned between Kea'au and Waikahekahe, and it has a name, Ko'olau'o. It is not the remnant of a sugar or of a ranching operation. It is a much more important resource, and an archaeological reconnaissance or inventory or field survey should be done before any further planning or discussions. And this was committed to, or not committed, this was recommended in 1985 following a field visit with Kiki Chappelle and Paul H. Rosendahl, a group of people. I realize time is close to out, but I just want you to know that we're not sitting in a vacuum. We are a part of a legacy landscape, and as people within HPP, I believe that we have a responsibility. It doesn't matter what our ethnicity is. We are a part of a Hawaiian landscape that should be preserved, honored, and passed on to the future generations. The reason that Onaona and I did the study is because no one knew what was going on. So we've got historic maps that show specifically, we know who at least, as far as we can tell in the historic records, the name of the last person born in this village called Olao around 1850. It's in the study, but his name was Kamakahiki. And the other families of Puna, they're all connected. And so you're going to hear from various people tonight, but our recommendation is please let us do the survey first, a comprehensive one. It's not going to cost $3,200 because that was a very superficial review. We've already got a report in, or I sent out to 3 Hawaiian archaeological firms that do quality work and are highly recommended in the state. We have one proposal back as of today. Sister Linnell Lua will go ahead and share that information. Malama pono I kaina no kumea oia no kumako ola. Aloha.
What is your, sir?
Excuse me.
How do you spell your last name?
I'm sorry.
How do you spell your last name?
M-A-L-Y. Kepa
M or N?
Can you tell us what the website is?
Yes. The website is www.kumupono, K-U-M-U-P-O-N-O.com.
Wait, slow down.
I'm
slow
sorry. Kumupono, K-U-M-U-P-O-N-O. I'm dyslexic also, .com.
Thank you.
So, but Linnell, Sister Linnell has access. We've already been floating the study around because it's important that we understand who we are on our landscape.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Patricia Rupert.
I'm just going to pull it down because it.
That's fine.
Please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to read it because I don't do so well just kind of standing up here talking. So, I have informed this board many times regarding 421J and why I feel it does not apply to HPPOA. I have also addressed the fact that all road fees collected, late fees, interest, or any other dues related to road fees are restricted funds and cannot be used for any HPPOA projects that are not roads. I have provided history as to why this is true and have requested again numerous times that the board and their attorney review Hawaii Civil Court cases number 6595 and 3646. In addition, I have also pointed out to this board on numerous occasions that the bylaw provisions regarding compensation for use of non-road maintenance assets, Article 9 Assessments, Section 3, does not entitle HPPOA to automatically transfer 5% of the annual billed amount of road fees and deposit these funds into a non-road account. HPPOA cannot reimburse itself for spending non-road money on road projects when it has never done so. All of this having been said time and time again, I am requesting this board and their attorney meet with owners to discuss 421J, restricted road fee money, compensation for use of non-road maintenance assets, Hawaii Civil Court cases 6595 and 3646, and any other HPPOA matters of import, and that all parties present documentation present documentation which they feel substantiates their differing opinions. I request that my approaching the board for a meeting between owners, HPPOA directors, and their attorney be documented in tonight's minutes. I would also ask that tonight's minutes reflect the HPPOA board's response to my request. Also, I attached the first page of the Civil Court case 3466, which was Paradise Hui Honolike versus Hawaiian Paradise Park Corporation and the County of Hawaii. The second case is Paradise Hui Honolike versus, well, and then all these people, Hawaiian Paradise Park Corporation again. And then your third attachment is your bylaw.
Thank you, Patricia.
I would really appreciate if you guys would give us an answer as to whether we can have a meeting and actually discuss it, finally.
Thank you. All right, next up is Lisa Mc. Thank you.
Hello? My name's Lisa McNamara. I bought in this subdivision because it was an agricultural subdivision. And what I want everybody to know is that if I wanted a shopping center close to me, I would have bought in Hilo. I did not. I bought here. And when I read the information on this subdivision, there was nothing that told me that there was land set aside for a shopping center. I would not have bought in here. So that said, I am sort of appalled at seeing what was presented by the Land Commission or Land Use Commission Committee last week as to a commercial subdivision over here. Okay. My other thing is that the Cultural Preservation Committee is working towards trying to preserve that 31 acres. And it seems to be under pressure from this association because they keep on saying they're going to develop it when it should be set aside for preservation. The HPPOA has a recommendation from 1985 to do an archaeological inventory survey. It hasn't been done. It needs to be done. So you guys really know what's on that land. And right now, watching between the Land Use Committee and the Cultural Preservation Committee, they should be kind of working together instead of out there being counterproductive. I don't get it. I strongly support the preservation of the 31-acre site for cultural, archaeological preservation reasons, and I ask the HPPOA board to vote to conduct a formal archaeological inventory survey, not a study, a survey. And that's what KEPA talked about. Also, if your excuse for not doing it is you don't have the funds, your bylaws in Article 8, Section 8P, a voluntary association donation can be put on the agenda to raise funds to do this archaeological survey. And that's what I'd like to see done with this association. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Donna, you're up.
Jennifer Myers.
A lot of what I was going to say she said, so ditto. Oh, okay.
Right into the mic, please, Donna.
Yes, please. Name is Donna. I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest. I'm really happy about the mailbox clusters because it's a community project, and I'm glad that a lot of people want home delivery, but they have to follow current federal laws and regulations, and that's just the way life is. The clusters, in my viewpoint, is going to decrease traffic going to the post office, which is good for saving on petrol, it's good for saving on the environment. It has a lot of pluses to it. There are going to be a few people that aren't going to like it. My only concern is 4th got paved, but 6th is one of their proposals between McCoo and Paradise. It's going to need to be paved, it's going to have all that traffic, and having the entrances and exits to the main roads need to make sure that they're cleared because we get a lot of traffic there. I know some people don't like lower roads being paved because they want the upper ones done, but we get the inland winds that blow. I've seen dust from one street go through 2 lots to hit the next street, because that's what our predominant winds are at. So that's my only concern there. Plus, my second concern is when they do the clusters, it would really be nice if they did just a line there where a public bus could stop and pick people up, and kids can be a school bus stop and stuff like that. It doesn't take that much more where the boxes are at. Just have a pullover like over here. That will also save on traffic. When it saves on traffic, it saves on maintenance. I know some people say, oh, the mailbox project isn't a road thing. But if we're going to decrease traffic, we're going to save on maintenance. We're going to save on dust. I mean, and plus some people can walk to it and exercise. Come on. What else is here? I can't even remember. That's basically all that I had there. I personally bought because it's agriculture lots, but agriculture means I can have livestock. It doesn't mean that there's a certain thing. I looked at the lots before I bought. I went into the office. I did a due diligence. There was the large lots. They were put aside for many different reasons, for schools, for shopping, for a lot of other stuff. The older you get, you want things closer. You don't want to drive way there. It's easier on gas. It's easier on a lot of things. We have to stop and think about our environment. We have to start thinking about stress. We're growing, you know. What was the other thing here? Reading my writing is a lot of things. My next subject, changing subject, is more addressing, I really like Brittany's project on recycling, but I do have questions about it because I've seen it work in other stuff. I'm worried about the percentage of hazmat material that can be recycled in it. I'm worried about, because there are some recycled roads similar to that that are not good for wildland fire, but also the surface temperature, and forever chemicals are being found in those. And I'm really concerned about that. And I'm concerned about tires being used, because Agent Brown and Agent Purple were used in tires. And that's my only concerns.
Good points. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Brian Ogawa.
Aloha, my name is Brian Ogawa. I reside in District 7. And my concern is between the Land Use Committee and the Preservation Committee. It appears the Land Use Committee wants to oversee the Preservation Committee and how to move forward with this item. I am on the Land Use Committee and the Preservation Committee, and conclude that the chair believes he knows the best approach/process in which to move forward. He has done research and, being a planner on the mainland, believes his process is the way to proceed. However, I have told him that these two committees should collaborate in good faith to come to a consensus. The Preservation Committee includes members that work for the State of Hawaii Preservation Division, doing archaeological work for the state. Kanaka with ancestral ties to the Puna area, and concerns Hawaiians that would like to see the Aina preserved. I have said numerous times in the past that this is a Hawaiian issue, which demands to have Hawaiian voices in this conversation/decision making. One issue is about financing this archaeological inventory. In the recent past, the Board of Directors paid scientific consultants, I believe, $3,200, completing only a small fraction of the area. The Preservation Committee had two volunteers do a field inspection, I believe it's what it's called, for free. They took photos and GPS coordinates to verify. Kumupuna Associates, that would be KEPA, who are part of this membership, did a report that is available to the public to review. My point is, the Preservation Committee already has resources available and has been in discussion about how to finance the inspection inventory, being that the board is restricted in their spending. They paid scientific consultants, perhaps they can contribute financially. As I have said earlier, collaboration with the people who has Kuleana to this Aina. And I not only mean responsibilities, but have rights to this Aina. If you look in the Hawaiian dictionary on the Kuleana, responsibility is number 4. First definition is rights. They have rights.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Next, we have Brad Beckham.
I'm Brad Beckham. I moved here 3 years ago. I came tonight because my primary concern is mail. I'm currently driving to Kona to pick my mail up weekly, and that's insane. And you know, I don't want to throw a big blanket of fog on here, but back in 2018, I understand from the postmaster, he had $3.5 million allocated for mailboxes, which was lost. The past GM said it was because of committee didn't decide where the mailboxes go and blamed it on the committee. As GM, I would think that would be his agenda to tell the committee they have to come up with a date, final date for the post office and have the recommendations approved by that point. If we lose the money this time, I'm afraid there might be litigation stuff, which could be catastrophic, because that would be a discriminating factor where people are not treated equally, 14th Amendment violation, possible ADA violation as well. So that's my focus for coming here tonight. Then also, there's a lot of conflict with what's going on historically versus land use and opportunities. Previous life being an architect, a little bit of information about zoning and land use. Most states allocate every decade, a master plan has to be updated, and that might be something that we consider. That would have to, you know, incorporate all ideas and as a just, you know, it's a preliminary thing for cities to come up with the zoning, but this is already zoned, so it'd just be kind of a broad spectrum of what we want to see for the next decade as a group for, you know, the whole community. And of course, it would have to be voted on. But I don't know if that helps at all. Mm-hmm. So.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Next, we have Olin Rosehill.
Hello, everybody. My name is Olin Rosehill. I've been living in the park for
Right up to the mic,
years,
please, Olin.
35 years, probably since I was 7. And
Olin, pick up the mic, put it
pick up
right
the
to
mic
your mouth.
right up to my mouth?
Yeah, thanks.
And you know, before I get started, I just want to say that, you know, on my dad's side, I represent the names Kanaina, Makekau, and his mother, Joao. On my mom's side is Maele Akamu. And for me, I say that because I stand here by myself, but you know, I represent those who do not have a voice right now. And it's my Kuleana, and I'm pretty sure that they would be in agreement with me. What I'm about to say is that I'm in total disagreement with what is going on with the 31 acres. I know the history. Not as good as Kepa, but I know what is there. And it should be preserved. It should be done correctly. You guys should survey the land correctly, take an inventory of it, and it should be preserved. There should be no development ever. And I'm pretty sure, speaking for the Hawaiian community, I'm here by myself, but I'm pretty sure the family that I represent would stand with me in saying that it should be preserved and nothing should be done. And you know, it's just kind of sad that hearing this whole thing, and that's why I'm at this meeting right now, is because I'm hearing, you know, all of this stuff, and I've been here since I was 7 in this subdivision. Never complained about the dirt roads, and that, you know, we just lived here, agricultural land. And you know, I hear all this development talk about over here, and you know, wanting to make shopping centers, and it's like, man, it's pretty discouraging to watch everything change over the years. But you know, it's something that we gotta deal with as Hawaiians. But you know, it's really, when you talk about bringing one shopping center, medical centers, to me, there's something underlying that people gotta think about. Because if you look at the 20-acre parcels that are around this subdivision, they're down on the bottom of Maku'u, on the bottom of Kaloli, around 12, 13. They got one on the top. So strategically, once you do that, there's no turning back. Everybody got to understand it, because if they build that, water's going to come down. They're going to need county water. And, you know, I think that's the whole idea, underhandedly, is that they want water in this place to improve property values. And you know what? It's just expensive already. It's ridiculous, Hawaii. And we're going to make it worse. And I like Sister's idea. All the 20-acre parcels should be
Olin, your
community
time is
farm.
up.
And that's my whole take on this whole thing. And you know, you guys need to preserve that land. That thing should never be touched. Done deal.
Thank you.
Not asking, not telling you guys. I mean, it's not going to happen. Okay?
Thank you.
Olin, my family stand with your family. You're not alone. My family stands with you.
All right, next is Kathy Hollingsworth.
Thanks, Jennifer. Glad I got to see who on that email. Oh, it's falling. Yeah.
Right into the mic, Kathy.
My name is Kathy Hollingsworth. I am a member of the Cultural Preservation Committee and the Land Use Committee. I am vehemently opposed to commercial development in the 31-acre property known as Waikehakeha. I hope I said that right. This is a precious historical site. Okay, I am also opposed to trying to alter our contract with the Malama Lama School in order to put mailboxes there. We made an agreement. There is a rule called Jessica's Law that forbids sex offenders from being within 1,000 feet of schools, parks, and playgrounds. I realize HPP does need postal service, but please keep this issue in mind as our membership somehow makes room for over 8,800 postal deliveries. Also, the other morning at 7:48 a.m.,
I was getting my newspaper. I had just walked up the driveway by the road. I heard a noise in the bushes across the street. All of a sudden, a huge pink pig with black spots, a female, jumped out of the bushes and ran on the road right by me. She ran up the road and into my neighbor's front yard. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, and our last owner input is Eric Perry. You can make it taller.
I'm not Erica Perry.
Oh.
But I do represent our family.
Oh,
my name
okay.
is Cheyenne.
Oh, it's Erica.
Yeah, Cheyenne
Right, sorry.
and Erica Perry. Oh, that's my fault. Hey, mahalo, aloha. So I'm going to read this just so I can get on the record. Subject, support of the Cultural Preservation Committee requests. Aloha, my name is Cheyenne and Ho'oululahui Erica Perry, my wife in the back. We are residents of Waikahekahe and homeowners in Hawaiian Paradise Park. Our ohana is in support of the Cultural Preservation Committee requests for the HPPOA BOD to authorize the preservation of the culturally significant sites within 16th, 17th, and 18th Avenue between Maku'u Drive and Paradise Drive. Our ohana feels this is very important. We recommend no development planning for the 31 acres. We recommend that an archaeological field inspection be done for the area, and we would like to see the development of preservation recommendations for the sites. We feel the Land Use Committee should be required to consult with the Cultural Preservation Committee on any proposed development in the Hawaiian Paradise Park. And mahalo, that's from our family. We live on 15th, the dead end side, off of Maku'u. And since I have time, I'm not going to tell you guys there's a olelo no iao, so there's very poetical sayings about puna. So I just want to engage the senses a little bit. The first one we'll talk about is the smell of hala or hinano, which is the male hala, and maile. So the smell is often quoted as you are paddling around the coastline, and that's how you know when you get to Puna, from that smell. We don't often smell that nowadays. Ohia lehua, imagine if you will, jumping into the ocean and coming up and feeling all of the petals of the Ohia lehua blossom on your skin, on your body. That's also recorded in Olelo no Iao. There's a kava, those who are familiar with Ava. It's called kaula'au. It was a very specific kava for Puna, and it actually grew up in the ekaha fern, the bird's nest fern. And the roots would come down the side, and you would harvest the roots that way to make the drink, kava. And it was known for its potency. Also something that we don't see anymore. Although we do see, there is restoration of that happening in Kahuvai. And then finally, the last thing is the sound of koki. You get used to it, but that's new. That's only been here for about 30 or 40 years. When we first moved here in 2003, I could hear them 2 or 3 blocks away. Now they're in my house. Yeah. So I think what we want to highlight is a lot of those things, even though we know that they existed, why not make sure that they continue to exist in the future so our kids can see those and be a part of that. So those are the senses. And koki, we can hear them right now. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Mahalo.
Thank you.
That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your input. All right, moving on to old business. First item is an update on the mailbox project. So in your packets, you have a number of different items. The fat stapled packet was all of the items that Patty was able to find within our files that talked about mailboxes on the 20-acre parcels, have the water mules being receptive to the mailboxes going on the 20-acre parcels. Anything having to do with the prior research and work that was done over the last 10 years. We also found other legal opinions in that paperwork that stated that we can use the non-road money towards the mailboxes. So just, I know it's a lot of information, but I wanted to give you what we have found in the files for you to be able to peruse and see. So we did receive a letter from the U.S. Post Office this past week. It did put a deadline of June 30th, 2023 to have our mailboxes in place, or they will come pick up the mailboxes and give them to someone else. Because I know that that's only 6 weeks away, we had a meeting today with the U.S. Post Office to see what we could do to negotiate a change from that 6/30 date. While they weren't willing to budge on the 6/30 date, what they were willing to do was just as long as we have permits pulled and have started the grading of the property by 6/30, they will be satisfied that we are making progress, and they will then not come pick up the boxes. There's an email. It says bookkeeper at the top. And this is a summation of the meeting today. So it says, thank you for meeting with the U.S. Postal Service Hawaii leadership team today to discuss mail delivery to your Hawaiian Paradise Park community. Per our ongoing discussion and according to the Postal Operation Manual 631.24, centralized delivery is the preferred method for new or existing business or residential delivery points. The mail receptacles and location of delivery points are approved by local postal office officials in advance. Options and requirements for modes of delivery are directed to the Postal Service. As it applies to HPP...
Kari?
Yes.
That reads directed by the Postal Service, not to the Postal Service.
Sorry. Are directed by the Postal Service. Sorry. Thank you, Patty. As it applies to HPP, we will approve mail delivery to cluster box units and parcel lockers at the 4 to 5 mutually agreed upon centralized locations within your community. We will not approve delivery to individual homes within HPP. Maintaining or expanding delivery to the UBCs, the cluster box units and parcel lockers at their current scattered roadside locations, also not an option due to concerns about accessibility and the safety of our postal delivery personnel. At this point, we await word from you that the agreed upon CBU locations have been graded and concrete pads have been completed per the plans that you have shared with us. Once these steps are completed, we will proceed with the installation of the CBUs at those locations. We look forward to working with you on the completion of this mail delivery project. Mahalo. So, it's very clear they have approved the 4 sites that the board submitted to them. That being 4th and Kaloli, 14th and Kaloli, 6th and Makuhu, and 16th and Maku'u. We did meet with Malama Lama School this week. They are willing to share a portion of the 20 acres for the mailboxes, but they are only willing to share down 27th side all the way at the end of the 20-acre parcels, which it would be very isolated and, in my opinion, for the amount of mailboxes that we would be putting in, it would not be worth the risk from a safety and security standpoint, putting boxes that far away from the main roads. So we are not going to continue to pursue trying to put any boxes at the Malama Lama site at this point. Time is of the essence. One thing we did learn today was that the Postal Service will be the one installing the boxes, which helped greatly with our budget. We had budgeted $4,000 to $5,000 at each cluster for installation, and we have 24 clusters. So you do the math. That is a big savings in addition to the $1 million plus of mailboxes that they are providing to us. So, I know it's not going to be a perfect scenario for everyone, because it means everyone's going to have a change of address. Think about the office staff. They're going to have 8,835 addresses to change. But once everyone's address is changed, you get to have your mail delivered to your street address for free. And you get to have your Amazon packages addressed to your street address. And whether they send it FedEx, UPS, or USPS, you know you're going to get your Amazon package or whatever delivery package you want. And right now, it's a crapshoot. You know, sometimes you get your package because they didn't hand it off to USPS, and sometimes you don't. So, at this point, time is of the essence, and we need to work to get this project going forward so we do not lose this opportunity. I don't think we will have this opportunity again.
Well, Carrie, just one thing I wanted to emphasize in that email from the post office, they say maintaining or expanding delivery to the CBUs and parcel lockers at their current scattered roadside location is not an option. In other words, those roadside mailboxes are going away. You know, they will not continue. They're telling us they will not continue to maintain that option because of safety concerns. You know, so I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, well, we could just add more mailboxes along the road, similar to what we've already done," but they're saying that's not an option. And I really think, you know, that kind of narrows things down as far as what we can do.
So, that at this point is my update. We did revise our budget numbers when we found out that the USPS would be the one installing the boxes. So it's approximately $14,000 in costs to pour the pad and then put up the roof structure so that we have coverage over the boxes per cluster. And there will be 24 clusters, 6 at each of the 4 sites. In addition to that expense, we have the clearing of the property. And we budgeted $75,000 for clearing and then bringing in rocks and materials for the leveling that's necessary, as well as providing the road around the cluster boxes that will be needed. So we have the Finance Committee has budgeted $650,000 towards this project. That money is sitting in the non-road account because the boards before us for the last 6 years have been knowing that this day would eventually come. And when 6 years ago the post office offered us boxes, there was no money for installation. And that's what stopped the project dead in its tracks back then. So the boards for the last 6 years have been voting to put away the 5% out of road money into non-road funds. And that has been going on for the last 6 years, and we have 770,000 in the non-road account at the moment.
Could I say something?
Sorry, we have 827,000 in the non-road account currently. So.
Yeah, I worked out some figures that I presented last month, and I think you kind of worked on that, John and Kari. My figures were $16,000 for the everything. I mean, from grading to cinder to the concrete forms to installation and the canopy. And since then, we found that the canopy, the installation is going to be paid for by the post office. So they're going to do it. So I removed that from my estimate, and I got it down to about $12,000 for everything per unit. So, I'm looking at $650,000 as a budget for the mailbox project as being very, very safe.
Conservative.
Very liberal. Very liberal as far as the difference between $650,000 and $400,000, I would say, is liberal. So I don't think it's going to amount to that much. It's good to provide for whatever exigencies come along. You can elementally create an estimate, but when you have general contractors come into the scene, then things can escalate.
Can we have quiet in the audience, please, so we can hear?
I'm just saying that, it's good to have a big budget for it, but it might be a little bit too big. We do have, if you notice up here, the purlings are all going to have to be replaced within the next couple of years. It's in the CIP budget, and the new roof and all this is going to be, I think, Kari, you said it'd probably be about $200,000 possibly, and other improvements that we want to make on this activity center. So we have to keep that in mind as well when we're throwing out budgets. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that is my update. The next item on the agenda is Resolution 2023-02, and it is in regards to the installation of postal mailboxes. So this is the resolution that was brought before you last month, and you asked that it be amended to include that it be approved upon the enforcement of the deed restrictions. So it states in there that we will satisfy applicable deed restrictions by initiating contact with Hawaiian Paradise Park Corporation and any other relevant party who has standing to enforce the deed restrictions.
I move that we adopt Resolution 2023-02, Hawaiian Paradise Park Owners Association installation of postal mailboxes.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution to install the postal mailboxes. Any discussion?
I have one part of a discussion. This has to do with, the location that's proposed on the documentation we've been handed. I disagree with the location.
Yeah, we're going to discuss locations in the next item.
All right,
Yeah.
in that case, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question. If this does go through and these do get built, are the roof structures going to be the last thing put up after all the mailboxes are installed? So we don't come up and say, well, we ran out of money and now we don't have mailboxes?
Yes. So what the post office is asking is that we get the grading done and the site work done and get the pads poured so that they can come in and get the mailboxes installed, and then we can come back and put the structures up.
Cory, at this time, do we talk about the process and procedure that this is the next step we do?
No.
Okay.
We need to deal with the resolution. So, all right, so we have a motion. Did we get a second on the resolution? Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution 2023-02 for the installation of postal mailboxes. All in favor? All opposed? District 1. Linnell, you were yes? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, so Linnell put her hand up late, but,
She put it up early,
okay,
because she opposed. So two opposed.
right, okay. So everyone was approving it except for District 1 and District 2. All right, thank you, motion carries. All right, so the next item of business is possible alternate mailbox locations. So originally, I thought we would be discussing possible alternate roadside locations, but after the meeting today with the post office, that did not stay on the table. So some concern over safety has been brought up by homeowners as well as board members by having the mailbox parked areas so far away from the main roads. And so it is being suggested that we try to move those mailbox clusters closer to the main road so that there is more visibility from the main roads and to help prevent, vandalism, theft, etc. So one thought would be is we clear the land between the main roads and where we were going to put the original clusters to provide that visibility. The other thought is going ahead and moving the clusters closer to the main roads. The only issue with that is access. So if you look at Jim's packet, Jim, I don't seem to have it. It's the one that has the permits on the front. Yeah. So you will see on page 6 where it's an example of Site C's cluster boxes at 6th Avenue. We have 2 ingress and egress points coming off of 6th Avenue going into the arena of cluster boxes. If we move this site closer to the main road, we will not be able to have 2 ingresses and egresses because it will be a traffic nightmare if someone is pulling out of the mailboxes and someone else is pulling in off of the main roads to turn onto the street. So we would most likely only have 1 ingress and egress into the area, and it might behoove us to then have it be a one-way road that goes around the facility.
How
so
big
that
is this gonna be?
traffic flow, huh?
How big is this area going to be?
It's 237 feet long and 143 feet deep.
I mean, do the ingress and egress need to be at the corner of these spaces? I mean, could you have like one at the corner and one in the middle? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we could attempt to put one further down. We would want it at a minimum 100 feet away from the corner. Just to prevent any accidents. So that would be, you know, an alternative
Correct, it would
to
be.
this.
And for the board members that want to understand the real concern, and I'll just use 6th Avenue because that's where I live. 6th Avenue in the area that you currently have it is what we just call the junkyard. This is where all the dumping happens. This is where all the cars are dumped. Chickens are dumped. Dogs are dumped. Green waste, I mean, it's, so if you put it way down there, all you're going to do is give them someplace else to dump, literally. So moving it up as close as we can, reasonably expect to put it to the corner of Maku'u and 6th, okay? And yes, removing all vegetation between that and Maku'u as well and keeping it down would be advantageous, and it definitely increase security and visibility to the post office boxes. I'm just thinking about the fact that we don't want the post office all of a sudden saying, well, gee, you got it in there, thank you very much, but we're not going to deliver to you because we can't get to it half the time. Okay, that's my biggest concern.
So we will need some sort of barrier between the road, Makuhu and, or Kaloli, and 4th and 6th Avenue, so that people can't just turn off of Makuhu into the mailbox.
That can be
arena
done with
area.
berms. That's easy enough to
Yeah.
do.
So, because, you know, that's one of the issues with the county is we can't have driveways or
Right.
anything other than our own streets going
But
into those.
are you still talking about one way?
It's a I mean, we could possibly do one-way loop.
A one-way loop, but no backing up, right?
Yeah, good luck with that one.
No, but I mean, if we have it in a line so it's done, so you're going to be in
I mean,
the
right now
flow.
it's designed for two-way traffic all the way around. This is designed for two-way traffic all the way around it. So,
If, as far as backing up, the only thing you're going to do is back out of parking spaces, and you can do that on a one-way or a two-way, so it's no
Right.
big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. It's just, as long as you're not coming and going from the same.
No. I mean, there's still going to be still going to be barriers along so that people can't just go out onto the avenues or the main roads. So whether it's rock barriers or low-level vegetation, something to denote that you can't just drive through, or that there's actual openings. So as far as the post office is concerned, as long as we are at the locations that they have approved, they do not have a problem with us moving the site, you know, within that
Right.
20-acre area.
Okay, thank you.
So, just gonna wait. All right, so I'd like some
I'd like to
thoughts
make
about-
a motion that we change the location of all of our projected sites to move them as close as feasibly possible.
Yeah,
to
we
the
can't do that
corners.
the 16th.
Right. Well,
So-
16 is understandably is going to have to be a total different option anyway. But for the ones on 14th, 4th, and 6th, I want them moved as close to Kaloli and Maku'u as possible.
What's the problem with 16th?
Because the maintenance facility is there.
How would that interfere?
We
I mean,
can't
how often do we use the entrance to the maintenance facility? I mean, it's not like a steady stream of traffic.
During the day,
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
sir,
there
Monday
is.
through Friday.
Every
Okay.
day,
Well,
yeah,
even if there-
constant.
okay, so how far down the road are you going to put the 16th
It would just be
Street lot?
right it would be behind the soccer fields here, and the access would be right after the maintenance facility. So you're talking, what, 150 feet, 200 feet down?
That'd be
60?
about it, yeah.
Yeah, it's not far.
It's basically the fence of the maintenance area down, the 200 and some feet, and then it brings it right up behind the soccer field.
Right.
And there's lighting in the maintenance facility, so that helps light up the the postal boxes in that area, so you have the visibility through.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion to move the clusters closer to the main roads as close as feasible.
Could we amend that to say not less than 100 feet?
Well,
from
why
the
don't we
main
do,
road?
yeah, I like that. Like, not less than 135 feet, because that's a demarcation of the line for the 1 acre lots that would be across the street. There's a geometric consistency with what the pattern of things.
The property across the street is all the 20 acres that Watermule own and stuff. So there's no need to delineate anything.
I am thinking that, okay, we'll have 2,200 boxes. Let's talk about 6 then, Maku'u. There will be 2,200 boxes there approximately, depending on how they assign them. So then we don't know. We have absolutely no idea how many cars will be lining up to go into our lots. If 100 feet is enough space linearly for, I guess 100 linear feet would probably be about
10 car lengths.
maybe 10 car lengths. I don't know if we could imagine, I kind of suggested, and John, you saw that, that we do a counter like Judy did with the speeders. If maybe we should do a counter. Now, a counter might throw us off, but if we counted one, like if we counted this cluster here in front of the office, and multiply it, then we kind of know what the traffic is and what the time of day for the X number of cars and all that sort of thing. So I don't know how we can provide. I don't know how we if it looks like it's going to be a lot of heavy traffic of 2,200 people at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We don't want traffic backed up too far. Now I know there's not a big difference between 100 and 135 feet. The other thing is, Jim and I have gone back and forth on this. I don't think 33,000 square feet is necessarily, if we're going for a grading permit, I think we ought to allow ourselves as much space as we can and not limit ourselves to 33,000 square feet. But I'll let you Brainiacs take care of that. But that's my feeling about it.
So, Jeff, your idea of the counters, I don't think it would actually represent properly because the traffic going down the main roads the pattern will change because of the boxes. So.
Well, wait a minute. If you have 100 people going to this box a week or a day, we don't know, right? We absolutely have no idea. All you have to do is calculate. You'd have to do some math because you might have different numbers.
We have time. I mean, what
we don't
difference
have
is it going to
time.
make?
We don't have.
We
We
have
don't. We
four
don't.
sites to choose from.
I know. We don't have time. We can't do anything else. It's just a thought, I guess. But I do think that if we're going to go for permit, we should permit as much space as we can. Doesn't mean we have to use all that space.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't cost us anything. So if we could, we can't go over 40,000. We can't go over 42,000 square feet. We can't go over an acre, right?
Correct.
So I would suggest an acre, but I'll let you guys figure that out.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion and a second.
Well, that's the problem. The second somebody tried to amend the motion at the same time. Excuse me, could you read back what motion I tried to make, ma'am, please? Thank you very much. That's my motion.
To move
To
them
move
as
it
close as
closest
possible.
to the main road as
Possible.
feasible. As feasible. So, all right. So do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
As presented, right?
As presented.
Okay, so Jim, District 8, seconds it. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
It's just too vague.
How do you mean?
What is too vague for you, Patty?
How close it's going to be to the main road. You know, as close as feasible means.
It's pretty big.
We do have a tower on 4th and Kaloli.
And 6th and Maku'u. Okay. Yeah, and the thing is, just a second, I admit that they're there. I will, excuse me, I will remove my motion at this time. Now, I will make a discussion point as far as the fact that we have those siren towers there at both 4th and 6th. And as the aspect, the siren towers, if we move this post box cluster up as close as we can get it, you make that tower, excuse me, as part of the boundary of the system. Okay? That basically there's not going to be a driveway in and out right there. One, you don't want it because it's the closest point to the corner.
We could also have it on the Mackay side of the street, and there's no tower there.
What?
On the what?
The Mackay side of 6th.
That's across the street in the property we don't own.
Yeah, we do. We own it.
On 4th?
No, on 6th. On 6th.
Mm-mm.
The tower on 6th is on the Malka side of 6th
Right.
Street, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We're talking about the park parcels. That's what's been approved by the post office. Nothing else.
I know what I'm saying is, if we have a problem with the tower there, where is the tower located?
The tower is located approximately 60 feet from the corner.
Okay, you can put the lot on the Mackay side of 6th Street. We own that property. Right, Jen?
I don't know that we would have to do that. I'm just saying that as far as the tower being there, it's not an obstruction. We have.
Well, I'm just saying, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter which side of the street it's on.
Okay,
If you've got no,
I gotta
if you have
I
no
understand your
obstruct-
point, sir. No,
Okay,
sir,
you
I
got it.
understand your point.
On 4th, we don't have the other side of the street. And if you get beyond the tower, you got some really rough ground there. I've looked at it several times. You're going to have some real difficult grading there. So anyway, you might take a look at it, when you get a chance.
Okay. I'm sorry, we're having trouble hearing. If you need to speak, please take it outside and not over here, because we'll hear that too.
I just want to make the reason I suggested that a minimum of 100 feet to the main street is to, as sort of a concession to the traffic idea, that I can't imagine more than 10 cars stacking up, to go into but I don't know, this is a whole different
So
situation.
the current site was going to be 300 feet in.
Understood.
So if we move it 200 feet towards the main roads, and we say that the site is going to start 100 feet away from the main roads.
Or not
Then we can-
less than 100.
Right. Then we can have our two ingresses and egresses back.
So long as, okay, I can agree to that so long as that 200-foot facing Maku'u.
The 100 foot.
100 foot.
100 foot.
So, no, I'm talking about this right here. The
Yeah,
side,
this-
that side there, that's facing Maku'u.
Yeah.
Okay? So long as there is a clear shot, in other words, we remove any
An additional
vegetation
100 feet.
for up to the road so that we have a straight
Right.
shot. I can agree to the 100 feet from Maku'u to start the park.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. All right, will you amend?
My
then?
motion is this. I move that we move the post office CBU parks to within 100 feet of the corners or the main roads of Maku'u and Kaloli on 6th, 4th, and 14th.
Could we amend that to no less than 100 feet?
Oh, correction. Excuse me, ma'am. No, she is correct. No less than 100 feet, because you need the 100-foot buffer. I understand. No less than 100 feet. So that is my motion at this time.
Okay.
I would second that motion. That's Patty D3.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to move the cluster boxes so that they are only 100 feet, no less than 100 feet from the road, and that we would clear that additional 100 feet for visibility.
Now, as far as the location of the lot on 6th and Maku'u, John?
Yes, sir.
We kind of have to decide which side of the street it's going to be on. We haven't really discussed it. I just mentioned we don't have a siren on the Mauka side. On the Mackay side, so it could be done there, or it could be done on the Mauka side. I would think that if you're going home from work down Maku'u and you make a left turn, it would be a lot easier and a lot more fluid for people to make a right turn into our mail lot instead of a left turn where there's oncoming traffic. Might take chewing that a while.
So I'm just going to say, Jeff, again, the Postal Service approved the other site. They approved the park sites. That's what we submitted to them.
Well, this is a park site.
No, it's not. It's a shopping site. If you look at all the maps, it says shopping. It is a commercial site.
Are there restrictions on it?
No.
There's no restrictions on between 5th and 6th?
But why do we need to move it? I don't understand.
Well, I was just saying there might be a better traffic flow, and we would avoid the tower. But
so I'm going to stop this. We have a motion and a second. So I'd like to call for the vote. All in favor? All opposed? So, 1, Linnell. All right, so we will revise the drawings and work on that. So Jim prepared the permits so that we would have them ready. We will have to do some revision though, Jim. So this we're going to set aside.
Weren't we told that we do not need to get permits? Wait.
For grading.
I'm not asking you, I'm asking her.
For grading purposes?
Oh, no. For
the actual the actual parcels.
For grading, you have to have the permit?
Yeah, grading, there's a grading permit, and then we would need the building permit according to the building department because we're putting a structure over it.
We don't need that until we put the structure over.
Correct.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
We don't need a permit for putting in the concrete pads?
No. Not according to the post office.
Okay. That's good.
All right. Next is Pohaku Drive paving contract update. Larry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Pohaku Drive paving update. I know you guys have been on the edge of your seats for this. Pohaku Drive is currently in the middle of the paving process. Exciting news, right? Everybody's seen the signs when you guys are going up and down the roads. Awesome. However, there is an update, and I gave each of the board members an estimate with some pictures and some visual stimulus here. It looks like when it comes to paving Pohaku Drive from the intersection all the way up to the 1,050 feet. The width is center line 10.
Closer to the mic.
Okay, sorry. Center line 10, center line 10. We're a total of 20 feet. The proposal that I have here, not necessarily a proposal, but some information that I have here, is that at the intersection of Pohaku Drive and Pohaku Circle, right there at that intersection, there is some degraded road here on each side. It's 27 feet from each side of Pohaku Drive. And if you guys can take a look at these pictures, you can see what I'm talking about as far as the degradation in the road here. So Civil Construction did point that out. I did walk the area and see what he was talking about, henceforth the pictures that I'm showing you. And at a cost of $10 a square foot, he has put in this estimate as far as amending his contract if the board so approve. And if there's any questions on the pictures, I can give you guys a little bit of a visual of it.
I'm going to make a motion that we accept the quote to amend the paving bid to include this additional area. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is he gonna put the radiuses back in the way they were? It's not just gonna be 20 feet wide. Looks like there's paved radiuses on the corners.
I'm sorry, so go ahead and say that again.
I said, is he gonna put the radiuses back in on the corners? See where it radiuses round, it's paved?
Yeah, you betcha.
He's
You
gonna
betcha.
put that, but you just said 20 feet wide.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't include the radius.
True story. And in fact, on this here, proposal here, it doesn't say it. As you can see, it says demo old asphalt, add 4 inches of compacted
Well, I know
remain.
that they're
So
good
I'll-
for saying
Yeah.
that it wasn't in the contract, so we're not doing it.
Yes. So your question is he going to? And my
Yes.
answer is, I don't know, because I would have to update the contract. And that is your answer.
Okay. Well, then why are we voting on it if we don't know if he's gonna do the
So-
radiuses?
No.
Madam Chairman?
I'm sorry, what are you asking? Put in the railing?
Radius. If you look in the pictures, there's a radius. If you look at all our other streets, everybody drives over the grass. Here, they paved them.
Yeah.
So his bid is for 20 feet wide by 27 feet. Doesn't say anything about the radiuses. And all I've heard from this contractor is that it wasn't in the contract, so
That's
I'm
right.
not gonna do it.
That's correct.
I'll
Madam
go ahead and-
Chairman?
I'll go ahead and break it down for layman's terms. When you're taking that turn, that little half pipe, for layman's terms, when you're taking a right so your tire doesn't hit the ground, that's what he's talking about. Layman's terms. Sorry, layman's terms.
I have no problem with approving it as long as he's gonna put the radiuses in for this same price.
The aspect, if I may, the aspects of road construction are specific. It's like building a house, foundation, rebar, over-trenching. Jason, you're absolutely correct. This contract should be adjusted.
Okay, so are we going to then do a special meeting about it? Because they're going to be
I have no
paving.
problem approving this contract as long as he's gonna as long as the radiuses are included in this price. I mean, it's not that much more asphalt.
Okay.
Why don't we just approve it and say to include the radiuses? And Larry can talk to him about that. And if he says, yes, the radiuses are included, then we redo the contract to include the radiuses. If he says no, then we start over.
If you would like to, board members, I can get that answer within 5 minutes.
Okay.
Is that good for everyone?
All right,
I
so
just- like I
I'll
said-
amend my motion to accept this estimate with the change with adding the radiuses on the turns.
For the same price. That's
Yes.
correct? Okay.
And different, it has to come back to us.
But that, I just want you all to know, that would require a special meeting, because the only reason why this price is as low as it is because they're going to be paving up there.
I don't feel it's low. It's the same price we paid for the rest of the road. I actually think it's high myself.
Kari, did you make a motion then?
I did.
I second the motion.
I'll call the question.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
While we're on the subject, if I could interject, Larry, would it be possible for you to look at the intersection of Maku'u and 130? Cars pile up there all the way back 2 to 3 blocks sometimes. And the only reason why cars can't move into the merge lane to go helo bound is because there's a drop off of the pavement adjacent to our easement. Now, at the upper part, you might have a state easement. I'm not sure where the demarcation is. I also know they have a guardrail there, so it would be something that we would have to get to, I think we would have to get together with either the state or the county. Do we know if it's a county easement on 130 as opposed to a state easement? At any rate, if we could widen the apron going out into that merge lane, you wouldn't have traffic piling up, waiting for people to turn left. Do you understand what I'm saying, Larry? Do you get it?
I do.
Yeah, if you could if you could please take a look at it, I would appreciate it.
I will.
Thank you.
And also for board members, relief, informational, and general members here standing by, waiting on your edge of the seats, waiting for the answer. Yes, it is including the radius. Just got the answer back already.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Oh, it is
Yeah,
included?
it is including. Okay, very good. Moving on. Item 13E, the 50th Luau celebration. Jeff?
I've got nothing on that. Nothing's happened. We don't have a committee that I know of. There were a couple of volunteers at the February
Excuse
meeting,
me?
but I don't think we really got all the information about them.
Excuse me.
Linnell, you're doing it. You're doing it. I just remembered. I'm
Excuse
sorry.
me.
Go ahead.
Corey handed me the sheet with all the names on it. I've also spoke to Judy. We have not had our first meeting yet. Our first meeting is scheduled for Thursday the 25th
Perfect.
at 1:30.
Thank you, Linnell.
That's May 25th?
Now you know.
May 25th
Yes, May 25th
at 1:30 here?
at 1:30 in the library.
So if anyone is interested in helping to plan the 50th anniversary celebration luau, come at 1:30 on the Thursday the 25th. That's next Thursday in the library. Perfect. All right, moving on to new business. Review bids for annual audit for the 22-23 year. In your packets, you will find a bid from Carbonero CPAs and Management. Jeff called all over Hilo as well as the Kona side of the island looking for potential auditors. Besides the auditors that we had prior, Carbonero is the only one other firm that is doing audits on the island. We could expand and look at Oahu or Maui, but then we're going to have travel time that will work into the costs. This company also specializes in nonprofits. So they do most of the association direct, audits and tax returns. So I feel that they would be the most cost-effective and efficient use of our funds.
I make a motion that we accept them.
You're not talking into the mic.
Oh, I will too. May I make a motion to accept the proposal as written?
Well, I have a question. The firm that did it before, have they also provided a?
No, they will not do our audit anymore.
Oh, okay. So we only have one proposal.
Unless we go off island. All right, so we have a motion and a second to accept the proposal from Carbonero. The range that they gave us, the hourly rates with a range between 29 and 39,000. And that includes for the audit, and then there would be an additional 1,900 for the
For the
filing
990.
for the 990.
Plus, excuse me, plus the GET for all of that is extra as well.
Yeah, I don't believe we don't file a GET.
No. It says
they-
plus
they-
applicable GET.
Oh, plus, okay, plus the GET tax.
Everybody
Got
in
it.
Hawaii
Yeah,
pays
yeah.
GET.
Okay. All right.
Including the GET.
Including the GET.
Do you know what we paid for the previous audit?
The contract was 20,000, but we ended up paying close to 60 because of the upcharges they charged us.
Okay.
So, yes.
I call the question, Madam President.
Thank you. All in favor of accepting the proposal from Carbonero CPA? That's unanimous. Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Moving on. Survey results. So in your packet, you had the results of the survey that was sent out with all of the billing this year. We received back just under 2,000 of the survey, so about 25%. You will notice in the question of use of the 20-acre park parcels, what was the top item was mailboxes, is what people wanted to see on it. The next highest was nature paths. After that, by only 2 was bike paths, and then exercise paths. So I think that, you know, we can take this information and look at potentially expanding the use of some of the 20-acre parcels to incorporate some of these things that people are wanting. But it just felt good that our mission of trying to put the mailboxes on these 20-acre parcels is being validated by 50% of all people that put in. That was their number one choice. So, in the back 2 pages are all the comments that fell under the other category. So, at your leisure, you can look at all of those. And thank you, Linnell, for tallying all of these surveys.
Thank you. You did such a good job.
No? About what? No, we have not. Okay. Item 14C, discussion on archaeological studies for 31-acre site.
Mike?
Your turn.
Oh, sorry. All right. So the package I just gave you, the first pack is
Right
says
into the
Na
mic,
Ohana
please.
Opuna.
Up to the mic.
The first stack says Na Ohana Opuna. This is a petition that went out, and quite a few people filled out the petition in support of preserving the 31 acres. The bottom half of the second page and the rest of page 3 is over 50 names, 50 different families who support this preservation. So with that said, that quote that you told me you had earlier today, this is the same people that you guys hired last year for $3,200 to give us 1 full page of a report. It's the same one you got the what is this thing called? The offer. the amount that they were willing to pay to do the same work. You know, they take pictures, they walk around 5 acres of a 31-acre land. They walk around 5.78 acres and a GPS. But then you pay them $3,200 to walk 5 acres of a 31-acre parcel of land. So that's where you guys got this quote from. So the next paper that I give you is got the yellow highlight. This is the 31 acres.
Who owns those acres?
HPPOA owns these acres.
Okay.
So if you look, there's 2 acres to the right that stands by itself. That road in between used to be blocked. And I don't know who broke through the road, but did they break through that land too? Because it's parcels on both sides of that road.
I have a question. When that road was stopped, because we have so many paved roads, was it because there was an archaeological find? Was there actually something written to stop no road?
It was scheduled for archaeological study.
That's what it looks like to me.
So evidently somebody plowed through archaeological land, right? Okay. Now this next stack is really thick. This is what an archaeological survey of 1 acre should look like. So can you imagine how big it's going to be for 31 acres? But it still needed to be done. That one-page paper that I just showed from the other company, yeah. This and this is more thorough. There's pictures. You know, they write about everything that they saw. They take pictures of everything. They show maps of where the locations are. You know, and tonight I'm asking for a motion to have funding for the 23-24 budget to have an archaeological reconnaissance survey done. It's in more detail. It's not this. It's not the archaeological survey. But it is way more thorough than what you guys paid $3,200 for. And I do also have a quote, which is actually lower than the quote you showed tonight. So
Yeah. The
I
quote that
I
you
would really
provided.
appreciate the
Yeah.
motion to have funding approved for an archaeological reconnaissance survey to be done.
And how much is we have a quote for that, you said?
We've had 2 quotes right now. One's at $49,000, one's at $44,000.
Yep.
We would need a third quote, Linnell, because
Okay.
of being over
I've,
the limit.
3 different groups have been contacted, and they're preparing the other 2 are preparing their quotes. So I'll let you know as soon as I get a third one.
Is this one of them? Or is
Yes.
this one? Okay.
This is an actual quote.
Okay.
So this would be the archaeological inventory survey?
It's going to be an archaeological reconnaissance survey.
What's the difference? I mean, I'm
The
looking at this
reconnaissance
quote.
survey.
I'm looking at this
is-
quote, and it says archaeological inventory survey.
Oh no, that's the one that you guys got.
That's the one. That's the
No,
one.
it's
that-
what
That's
it
the
says.
quote you guys
The
got.
budget is 49,000.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the one you
that's-
guys got.
That's what Jeff had gotten.
The one that Jim has is the one that I turned in.
Not to be confused with that.
I don't see that one at all.
I haven't had a chance to review the one that you solicited, Linnell. And I really haven't had a chance to digest, even though it's very
The other
short.
one Kari has. That's the one Kari had. No.
I don't think we're ready for an approval.
Oh no.
Well, we need another bid.
She's asking that it be put into next year's budget. To have it added to the budget for,
I'm asking for money to be set aside
Oh, I see.
for an archaeological reconnaissance survey to be done.
Is that your motion, Leno?
That is my motion.
I'll second the motion. District 4, John Waldorf.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to budget for an archaeological survey to be completed of the 31 acres. This would have to be a non-roads expense item. And so it would have to come out of the non-road monies
Thank you. I would appreciate that.
from a budget standpoint.
Can we call the question?
Yes. All in favor of the motion? All opposed?
Of course.
Abstained? Okay. Next board meeting will be June 21st, 6 p.m. Next general membership meeting, June 25th, 3 p.m. Check-in will start at 2 o'clock. So can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.